Okay, well, I didn't plan hitting start just yet, but typical fashion, things did not go according to plan. We're gonna go ahead and take this opportunity then, since I'm not connected all the way in. This is what we're gonna work on this evening, and finish basing the rest of these Americans, which we worked on last night and this morning. So this is the rest of my U.S. troops, and that's what we'll work on. I decided to just do it in a mobile connection today because I'm not sure how steady the rest of this is going to be due to the storm coming this way. There we go. Let's mount this on here and keep this thing from getting all screwy. But that's what we're going to work on this evening. We got some toughs to do. I put away a lot of stuff on this other table, but there's always more stuff to put on there. And one of the things that's coming up soon is I'm going to repaint this little building. This is I want to say this was by Musket Miniatures, and this is a 15 millimeter barn or something like that. But if you put a 15 millimeter figure there, these windows are pretty far up. So this is almost better suited for 20 millimeter, something like that. So I've used this actually on a couple of occasions. It's got an interior on it, and I've been pretty happy with how this has turned out. But the outside of it is just a little too storybook looking, so I think the yellow needs to be repainted. I think the roof is okay. Maybe redo the stonework on the side. But I've had it many years. I've had it probably 20 years, painted it 20 years ago. So not unhappy with how it looks like other than the base color. And I mean, the shutters look good, but anyhow, so to be continued. Let's get on with the basing, see if anybody joins us. And I put all the buildings away in the case and I moved some stuff out of the way, but we did get the buildings up in there. Okay, so tuft-wise, what do we have here in Tough Land? Let's see what leftover tufts we have. We should go ahead and use those first before we go any further. And I didn't take my contacts out. I think I'll be okay. I do need to use the super readers, or we're not going to be able to get far. Got some there, and we got another one here. Yeah, that's the only ones we had loose. Laying about. All right. Now I'm going to pull these out. We used some of these as well. And these we're almost out of as well. I don't remember exactly whose these are. And we were using, those are for the desert. Yeah, this one, but I know I didn't go through a whole sheet of them. This sheet of them is sitting around here somewhere. I got some of these things too. I've never done anything with this tall grass. Probably will at some point. I got it in a couple different colors. think this will. There's no way I went through one of those sheets of the Australian ones. Yeah, I had some of these. We use some of these as well. I'm going to pull this sheet. I'm going to put this here. Okay, between the variety of these that we have here, we should be all right. All right, so we need to get Mr. Elmer's down. Get a squish of Elmer's. That's the one we're using for paint. Let's continue using that one for paint. We'll put the Elmer's over here. PVA. It's available in all kinds of names. Elmer's glue here in the United States is by far the most common one, or the most the recognizable name. As much as I want to work with a 2mm airbrush, we'll leave that for another. We'll leave that for another occasion. Take our jewelry off. Okay, who's going to be our first guinea pig? We're going to use Johnson here now. He's kind of brown and kind of dull, so with that said, I'm probably going to use one of these Australian bright ones. And put that one in first. Oh, and we need our tweezers, of course. It is this one. The slot that these fall in is a little too long. Okay. So we're going to start off by putting this happy little green guy in there. This guy needs more green to him. He's a little on the brown side. And then we'll use whichever one of these that we're doing that's kind of green. Oh, here, this is what the problem is. There's another one that's underneath it. Let's see if we can find some small ones. Not ready for you yet. Hey, now I got a hot glue gun. I could make my own. Make my own with some of those taller ones, but no, this little stuff right here. These will do just fine. And then I think we've got space to do one of these if it's small. I just decided not to do the static graphs on the figures, just to do the tufts. I figured there might be an opportunity to get some of this, do a show here in between the bands here. You got the first bands of the storm that came in a couple hours ago. And I inadvertently fell asleep for about an hour. I had an inadvertent nap. Okay, so this is how we're going to go with Johnson. Okay. Mara, that's over here. Yeah, as much as I want to mess with that airbrush, that squiggles are going to be like, I think the perfect candidate for that is going to be like an opal maltier. I have 2 or 3 of them, maybe 3 of them to do. And those soft skins tend to have those squiggles a lot. Like they want to hide them, do a really good job of hiding them well. So put this other one over here. I can't remember whether I painted the edge of these stands first, then put the tufts. I honestly don't remember. So we're going to do the tufts now, and hopefully that works out. Yeah. Ludlow, we're going to use one of the bright green ones on him. These actually don't behave really well when you put the Elmers underneath them. They're really, really tacky. These lead-bear tufts from the Land of Oz. And just to mix it up a little bit, we're going to use a different one that's one of these that's over here. This is one of my favorite ones. Oh, here's the other lead-bear ones. Now I found them. Okay. A little half package. Okay, cool. Well, we've got some variety here. Just to mix these guys up a little bit. And this should work well if we're going to use these guys in Italy or Normandy or anything like that. It's not too specific. Okay, Calvin, that's over here. Actually look fine even without any tufts. Don't need tufts to save the day. He's got some scrim on his helmet. So let's put some scrim on the ground. We might need more. We're going to need more Elmers than that. And we'll just see if we can find a little one that goes right there. Say this one right here. One of my favorite figures. And no doubt because of the scrim on his helmet. Pretty happy with how he turned out. Okay. Varela. Oh, we're working. It hasn't been officially called whether we're working or not. You like how that works? So about 2 p.m., 4 hours ago or so, maybe before 2. Yeah, it was before 2. We hadn't left for lunch yet. So about noon, I went ahead and called my drivers, and I made the call. Hey, you guys, there's no point in you guys working. Nobody's going to accept your delivery. So, but I'm still going to go in. I don't know if I'm going to be able to go in at my normal time because if the conditions are, I don't know that I'm going to be able to get a hold of anybody on the phone, to try to reschedule things for the following day. So it's not the first storm I've been through. So we'll just see how it goes. They're real hesitant to call everything off. We're a manufacturing facility, so they want to make the shit tomorrow anyways if they can. I'm not necessarily making anything, but this is typical for the course. They don't make any calls on stuff until the last minute. But I won't go in if the conditions are if stuff's going sideways. Now we did manage to get both cars in the garage, which was a feat in and of itself. Actually, we had lots of room for it. And it looked good. It's like, oh, man, this is what rich people like. They put both cars in the garage. Debbie's main cone looks like it just misses you to the north. It does. The storm tracks to the right-hand side, and we're in that storm track. We're actually in between the bands right now. We've been in between. We got one band. We picked up our mom, so I got 3 women here now. My mom still lives 7 doors down from where we used to live, which is 15 minutes south. So instead of worrying about her, and she's got some tall trees, she's like, why don't you come stay with us? We got less trees here, and she'd be calling us like, hey, what's this sound? Like, we can't help you. We're not down there. We can't. So she's gonna come up here and spend the night. Left her car in the garage, and she's up there. They're watching the Olympics, I think. Yeah, we're just gonna play it by ear. I bought a little generator. Heck, well, it's not this big. It's a little bigger than that. But actually, my wife bought a generator. I was watching Deadpool with my daughter, and my wife goes, hey, I'm going to the big box store, and hey, they got these generators on sale. I think I should get one. It's like, well, how much is it? I said, oh, well, at that price, yeah, we'll go ahead and get one. It's pretty inexpensive. And if I never use it, well, it's not that big of a, but, I got the fuel can for it. And Well, that was a few nice few months with no fuel can. I used to have a fuel can because I used to do mow my own lawn. Now I don't mow lawn, but no use for a fuel can. Sold that. Now I got to buy another fuel can. So little things, but get back to it. Yeah, they don't like to make calls on. They don't like making decisions. At some point you got to make a decision. Like we're either opening or not. I think they just asked everybody probably to report it normal, but I mean, I've been there over 30 years. Like I kind of know what the drill is, so let's see if I can get away with this. There we go. Okay, so he's done. Who else we got? Let's do Wallace next. Mr. Badass himself. Yeah, you can't see it. Where's the camera angle here? Let's see. That didn't work. Oh well. There'll be closer shots of these guys when we get done. That's a tried and trusted method to remove. Use clippers too. Yeah, my clippers got commandeered by somebody else and they're not here anymore. Deadpool Wolverine will be worth a watch. Seen it twice as there is so much in it. Really? Already? I actually didn't like it. I didn't like it. The whole universe thing just drives me bananas. But except for the scene on the bus. The scene on the bus, I almost peed myself. I was laughing so loud. That was really, really funny. But I really like over-the-top violence. That was the best part of the whole movie, was the whole bus when he's killing all the other Deadpools. That was pretty funny. Yeah, and the second movie, I'd say the second movie is as good as the first one. But I wasn't a fan of the third one. And I like Jackman. That wasn't the issue. It was the whole universe thing was the problem. Yeah, it's just too much of a bad trip. And I would have been fine actually not watching in the movie theater, unless my daughter wanted to. My daughter wanted to see it, so I'm like, all right, we'll go see that. There were some other parts that were amusing, but I enjoyed that scene on the bus. The fighting their way through the bus. That was pretty funny. Okay, this guy here. But I'm not really the targeted audience. There was some mega nerds in there they found everything funny and they were, all squeamish and stuff. Even girl nerds. What are that? Girds? Nerds. Like a GNU. See, what color is that one? That's the one that has that little one. Let's do this. Let's do one of these. Let's do one of these guys right here. So what'd you guys do all day? We had to put away a bunch of stuff that was, well, we didn't have that many things outside that could have gone flying. It's mainly just gusts. That's all we're going to get. We're going to get, I don't know if we'll even get a 50-mile-an-hour gust. There you go. Was. So when we're done with these, we're going to paint the edges black. And then when we're done with that, then we will dry brush the matte not dry brush the matte varnish. We'll paint the matte varnish in certain areas. It's not like, you know, it needs to be, there's some places that just has too much shine and it tricks your eye and like you can't focus on like the details of the figure because you're being screwed with by that shine. Well, let's do Scott next. Now Scott's mostly brown, so we need to brighten this up with some green maybe on there. So let's get some lead bear tufts. Let's put one right in the front of him. Is Early War Miniatures one of those guys that said he's going to be out of business soon, or is that the grumpy guy? Not grumpy, grubby. Grubby, sorry. He needs a shower. He's not in a bad mood. Are you the guy that's in a bad mood? No, I'm just filthy. Oh, okay. Are you the filthy guy? No, that's my competitor. Filthy Miniatures. Not to be confused with Soiled Tanks. Let's do another green one. It's this guy's in a happy patch here. Well, you know, the only thing I regret about not doing DVA, there's only one thing I regret. But there's some armies I was looking forward to doing to do justice to them that I'm not going to get around to doing anytime soon. One of them is pre-feudal Scots. I was really looking forward to doing pre-feudal Scots. And I don't necessarily have a problem with the DVA size armies. I mean, you know, let's say I want to do impetus or something like that. Yeah, I might. Uh, the problem is fooling around with impetus rules. That's gonna cut into learning how to play this again. You know, but I want to do the pre-feudal Scots. I was really looking forward to that. You know, like my Irish. Like I look at that Irish list. I'm like, okay, the list isn't very exciting. I've seen other people paint them. It doesn't really excite me, but I'm like, I did Melon's Spin. It's one of my favorite fucking armies. And yes, a lot of it has to do with the dog. The dog adds some entertainment value. Sunday is your catch-up day with YouTube Day, as many of my subscriptions post new content. Have been preparing stuff for listing on eBay and packing the stuff I sold. What are you getting rid of? What kind of stuff? I assume your things that you don't use anymore. What are you no longer into that you're like, I want to get rid of? I don't have any of those things. I've gotten rid of all my things that I just don't have a use for. And last time I got rid of a bunch of stuff, it was through Noble Knight, because the shipping is just like a wild card. It's just a complete wild card with the shipping. The shipping's just gotten ridiculous. You know, and none of us want to pay for the shipping. You don't want to pay it to ship it out. You don't want to pay it when you buy it in. When you buy it in, you know what I mean. I don't have any more stuff to get rid of. I mean, if I had to, if it's like, you know, somebody's forcing me, you got to get rid of something, but I'm not married to one of those people that's like, I don't really have that much stuff. I mean, I'm not one of those gamer gluttons that just like went crazy buying a bunch of shit. And I'm actually really well behaved in that apartment. Ah, that's too big. Oh, it's way too big. Way too big. That's more like it. And it covers up over all the rocks and everything I did. Early warm is here to stay. Not heard of Mr. Grubbs considering giving up. He has a good range, and I picked up secondhand 20mm stuff from him at shows. God, I can't remember what it's like to go to a show when they have stuff that I'm interested in. I'm actually glad that's not the case. You know, the show I picked up a lot of stuff. It was 2 estate sales, and they both. Well, I don't know who. One of the persons I actually knew. I don't. I think I played a game with him before. He was an older gentleman, and one of them was somebody's. The brothers were selling his stuff, and I didn't know of the guy or anything, but he's. I have a feeling that he was either my age or not much older than me. You know, one of those fucking cancer things that, you know, cancer don't give a shit. They just, but the other one was an older gentleman, and they just happened for whatever reason to have a bunch of stuff in 20mm, and you know, other people, nobody's interested in 20mm stuff there except me, you know, so they had it and I got a good price on it. They just wanted to move it. That's how I picked up 35 T-34s from the one guy, you know. And, you know, I'd rather not have picked them up. I'd rather the guy be alive, you know. But I painted quite a few of them, and I plan on doing more of them. I want to do some snow stuff. I just know that's a slippery slope. I have a feeling that it's going to turn out really well, and that's just going to be like, oh, let's do some German troops with the snow smocks, and, you know, I got enough stuff on my plate right now as it is. I like using these things to cover up the stuff that's on the base. I don't really like how it looks. That's why we kind of stuffed this back here. I don't really like the way that looked back there. All right. Oh, we're done with that? Okay. Yeah, I don't have anything to sell. I don't have anything that I want to get rid of. I'm not selling 15mm lead that I haven't painted. That would cost a fortune to ship it, just by weight. Whew. And I'm not selling any of my painted stuff. I'm not doing it because of the money. I'm doing it because there's just not enough attention for me to do everything. And like years were going by. It's like I'm never going to get to doing this if I don't like focus completely on it. Like, you got the same people that are like coming over. It's like, hey, why don't you come over and play on Mondays? All right. And then you're like, well, when are we going to play World War II? I said, we're never going to play World War II if I keep coming over every Monday. I got to use like every opportunity that I have to work on this, to get this off the ground if you want to see me play. So you can't have it both ways, you know? I can't play DBA and, you know, and do other stuff. You know, maybe if I was retired, but I'm not. And nowhere close to being retired, unfortunately. Okay, it's Higgy, the Higster. Sold a bunch of Check Your Six rules and Battle Britain scenario along with 18 1/600 planes, bunch of old Lord of the Rings TCG stars, and a D&D campaign Resurrected pack Temple of Elemental Evil. You're listing one of your 3 DBA Middle Imperial Roman armies plus a couple of Pictish armies. See, I could, you know, if I didn't know somebody that already had a picked army, as soon as those figures from Forge and Battle would have come out for the picks, I would have done them. I think I could do them justice. I think I could do them justice. I like all their little icons or little glyphs. They're little glyphs. There we go. Pictoglyphs. I suspect that there's a lot of folks in the UK with the prevalence of tattoos these days. I suspect there's a lot of people in the UK that have pick type tattoos. And they're probably like, oh, that's my ancestors or whatever. I've seen the, what do you call those things? Little Big Men Studios. Little Big Men Studios make like those flags and stuff, and their pick set is awesome. I mean, they got some awesome looking stuff in there. I mean, pretty cool stuff. Also, 1-300 Russian and German tanks based as playing pieces for Memoir 44. Yeah, Memoir 44 is a decent game. It just doesn't feel it. Yeah, it's like the other Richard board games. They're fine. There's nothing wrong with them. They're good games. I just don't. I don't feel like I'm learning anything about the Second World War when I'm playing them, and that's an important part for me. It's probably not for most people, but it is for me. I'll feel like I want to learn something new every time I play a historical game. Maybe I'm just stupid that way, but yeah, those Little Big Men Studios pick stuff is amazing. There's some cool shit in there. There's some real cool shit in there. Even though that's a really weird product. They have a high quality product. It's just counterintuitive to use. It is so counterintuitive to use that. And honestly, I thought they were going to turn out real shitty, until I hit them with the dull coat. The dull coat saved the day because those things were shiny as shit and everything. Because the ones I did on the Russians, I'm like, these are gonna look like crap. I mean, I look at them and I'm like, oh, they're absolutely gorgeous. There's like nobody that would be able to paint, and they're unrealistic because I mean, you'd have to have Michelangelo that would be painting the shields for your army for them to look that good. They're absolutely gorgeous paint jobs on all those shields. But then you put them on and you got like freaking it turned out great. They turned out just fine, but it was a little not for the noobs, not noob friendly for sure. Now, this guy, I feel like he needs to have something a little bright around his pants. What did you say? I said keep it in your pants. I'm pretty experienced and I'm pretty patient. When it comes to this stuff, I've got a lot of patience. So if I'm like challenged by something, it's kind of a motherfucker. I mean, it's like not user friendly. Now, I know some of you guys have been doing modeling stuff even longer than I have, but most people have not. And yeah, if I'm like, man, this is really difficult, I'm sitting here thinking, you guys are like, a lot of folks are buying this product, they're going to walk away from it. Because I'm getting to the point where I'm pretty confident something will start going sideways for me, and I'll be like, don't judge it yet. Finish it all the way, and then let's see what it looks like. But other people will be like, that isn't gonna work out, and then just walk away from it. Yeah. This guy's sitting in sitting in the green grass, getting ready to mow somebody down with that BAR. I just don't know how effective that weapon would be. You know, you only have a 20-round magazine for a squad support weapon. I don't know. Had a set of M44 rules that have been amended for use with miniatures, giving more details to the units. Didn't go to Claymore yesterday. Oh, had not been this year. Derek Hodge, one of the organizers, passed a couple of days before the show. Oh, man. So he organized it and then passed away. No. That's a great name for a convention, though. You guys in the UK have a convention called Recon, I'm pretty sure, which is always confusing when I'm looking at the dates for our Recon, which is one of our 2 Orlando conventions. And I always get that one. Dickerson. Dickerson's a bit on the brown side. Let's brighten his ass. Let's brighten his happy ass up. That's a lot of setup time for just one day. You guys should have longer conventions than we do. You guys have more vacation. I'm sorry. You should have more holiday. You guys have more holiday time than we do in the U.S. We don't holiday enough. It depends if you work for the government or not, or work for the government. Not that I want a government job by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just saying, you know, they get a lot of days off. All right. Moran. Not to be confused with moron. How long does it take from where you live to go to London by rail? Is there a train that runs pretty often? Is it 8 hours? They don't use rail travel here in the United States. Not in this part of the United States. I think rail travel is freaking awesome. First of all, I'm not scared of trains. Well, I haven't had a bad experience on trains. Maybe if I encountered really bad turbulence on a train, I probably wouldn't like it. But since that hasn't happened, you know, there's a train wreck. Like almost everybody lives. I mean, they might be missing an arm or two, you know, but everybody lives on a train generally. You know, you can walk around. You got more space. You go have a drink. You know, you can like go get your drink, not like, you know, wait for. When's you gonna bring a fucking drink, man? I'm freaking out here. You know, this turbulence is killing me. Like I need to stay calm. It was either just before. I think it was just before 9/11 or right after 9/11. You could travel with your minis. You could bring your little Jack Daniels or whatever. So I went to the liquor store and I'd buy like fucking 12 of them or whatever. So I'd already be making my calming serum before you know, the plane took off. And once a plane's in the air, I'm okay. It's that takeoff, man, that drives me fuck. It's just so damn surreal. I don't get airsick or anything. It's just terrifying. Hey, I can't be a superhero about everything. This guy needs something kind of bright. I'm looking at this guy. He needs something bright right there. Let's put this thing right here. Rail travel basically doesn't exist in the United States. Maybe you can do stuff from like DC to New York City or something like that, but you need a car to get anywhere. About 8 hours. Ooh, did I hit the nail on the head? There are 4 direct trains to London from Aberdeen per day, with lots of opportunities to travel with a change at Edinburgh. I think trains are fucking cool as shit. But they don't, you know, the time for that here in the United States just doesn't work. They're not here on time. It's just it's a mess. They got a rail that they've put in recently between Orlando. They've added up to Orlando to go to Miami. But you get to Miami, you don't have anything. It's like, how are you going to get around Miami? Uber your way around. So I don't know that it really works. And I don't think it's a high speed rail. So it still takes a while. It's not like you're going a couple hundred kilometers per hour or something like that. Yeah, because your country's about the size of Florida, more or less, you know, lengthwise, which isn't that small, but it's doable. Our country is ridiculously large, which is good because if it wasn't this big, we wouldn't have space to take all you guys in. Oh, man. Crawford. Crawford makes an appearance. Let's do one of these here. Crawford sounds like some redneck. Well, I'm not going to buy that. I'm not building the backstory of these guys. Although I don't like AI, but AI is really a couple of months. I'm like, write me a scenario for for like some scenarios for the French resistance fighters. It did a damn good job. Like it gave me like legitimate like 8 scenarios. And then the other day, I'm like, write me a backstory for a French guerrilla resistance fighter, and it did. It was like this is like legit, Maybe not exactly what I wanted, but something that would work, you know. So then I'm like, okay, all right, I'll challenge you now, right? So it's like write me a backstory of a of a German captain that's on the Eastern Front and how he's affected by the last combats that he's been in. And everything worked really well until the part where he said, and then he raised his rifle. I'm like, there ain't no Hauptmann firing a Mauser. You're out of here, imposter, not a real person, you know, not written by a human. Now you can know too much stuff that just it ruins your appreciation of certain things. This one book that I've promoted before, um, my brother-in-law gave it to me. He's a big book collector of different things, and it's this book called The Berkut. I've brought it up here before. It's got a swastika on the front of it. It's basically a mystery novel between a guy that's faking. Basically, the premise is that Hitler faked his death, and he's with a body double, and he gets this Skorzeny type guy, Skorzeny in all but name, basically. It's not supposed to be Skorzeny, but it's that type of a person to come in and help him escape and get out of the Fuhrer bunker. It's literally like in the last, like the Russians are like upon him, and he goes through the ducts and shit like that. It's a really good book, but there's a scene where it talks about something about a weapon that the guy uses, and it has a wooden stock, and I'm like, that weapon does not have a wooden stock. I'm like, you're out of here, imposter. No, but that's actually a really good book. I don't read much fiction, and that was really interesting. It was really, 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 really interesting. So I would read it again if it was on Audible, but I don't think. But it's not on Audible. It takes about 90 minutes to fly from Aberdeen, but there's about 2 hours of faff with clearing, security, and picking up luggage and traveling at each end. That sounds like scrim. Human scrim. Faff. I get stressed out by airport security. I get so stressed out by airport security because we all have our things that we detest. And right at the top of my list, other than somebody lying to me, is being questioned. I absolutely hate being questioned. And the stress of like accidentally leaving, there can only be one Skorzeny. What is the guy's name? I'll have to find out what his name is. And of just leaving like keys or like I went to go see a concert. I went to go see a concert a couple weeks ago, and I'm almost all the way to the gate. We had to wait forever, and we almost got rained out. And I go all the way to the entrance, and I've got my keys with me, and my keychain, because I drove, has a little Swiss Army knife that's about this big. And why do I have that? No, not because I'm a redneck that has a knife everywhere, because I don't. I travel everywhere with a pistol, not with a knife, on the road and shit like that. But it has little fingernail clippers, and it's got, stuff. And I'm like, man, I'm going to lose. Well, I'm not going back in the freaking car because it was really, really, really far, like really far. And because we didn't pay for the premium parking, it cost like $100. So I took the thing out from the keychain, and they had one of these like portable generator things with lights. And I'm like, I'm just going to drop it there behind it. And if it's there when I come back, cool. And if not, then, the fingernail clippers were dull anyways. And I just buy another one. And it was still there when I came back and got it. But I'm so worried about, I don't want to hold up the lines. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that person. That person that screws everything up. You've seen him. He's been in line. You're like, look at this dolt. Why does this guy do this? I don't want to be that guy. I'd rather have a different sin. I'd rather that not be the one that I do. And so I'm always stressed out by airport security because I'm like, if you pull my record and you pull the record of the guy that's questioning me, my record's better than you. Like I should be keeping you from getting on the plane, And so yeah, I don't like I don't like being questioned. So yeah, I'm not a friend. I'm not a fan of faff. And then on top of that, you get all the way through, and then I got to deal with the steel bird falling out of the sky, which I'm not a fan of that either. This does not look right with him being. He's got one big green dingleberry. I wanted to cover this. There's like a spot where I didn't quite get what I wanted in the right place. So let's see if I can get a smaller piece of something and put it there. No faff for me. We have the same problems with skiing do ceremonial daggers worn in the sock of Highland dress. Yeah, it's just, what are you going to do? I'm going to take over a fucking plane with a knife that's this big? I mean, I'm like, I don't have knife fighting skills, okay? There we go. That's how we get it. This guy's got faff up his ass. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to hold up the line. I don't want to be that guy. Like, I have my belt off and everything. Scorzeni was the most badass Irish farmer ever. I must have missed that one. Did he go into did he survive the war? I'm gonna find out what this character's name is. It's probably lazy writing. It's probably a freaking Steiner or something like that. How many Steiners can there be? Jeez. I know there can only be one Steiner. I watched that movie again recently, and Coburn actually did a good job to do some kind of an accent. I don't know exactly what he was trying to do, but at least he didn't sound like a stupid American, you know, which this country has a bunch of lazy actors that can't do an accent to save their freaking life. It's really shameful. This is let's not get ourselves in trouble. Here we go. There's a crooked spider there. It's an excellent book. Um, Rudolph. Unterscharf, oh, one of those stupid SS ranks. Unterscharführer Gustav Rudolph is his name. Rudolph, one F. I believe that's what the guy's name is. It smells like dust. Right? No, maybe that isn't who it is. That's just the first name that I came on here. Let's see. Oh, he's a colonel. It's Colonel Gunther with the umlaut Brum. Hey, they named that little car on that kids show in England that drives around by himself. Brum. They named it after him. That's what it is. At dusk, SS Colonel. Oh, so we don't want to call it the whatever. What is that? Obergruppenführer Gunther Brum silently parachutes through the sulfuric haze into the smoldering ruins of Berlin, past the Soviet troops that encircle the skeleton that the city has become in late April 1945. Um, with the precision and skill that has marked his brilliant military career, yet they still lose in the fucking war, Brum has completed the first stage in a simple yet seemingly impossible mission to evade the Allied forces swarming over post World War II Europe and smuggle Herr Wolf, the greatest war criminal of all time, to safety. Less than 24 hours later, a Russian team called the Special Operations Group snakes its way into Berlin city limits, headed for the Reich Chancellery. It is led by the Berkut, Vasily Petrov, handpicked by Stalin for his ability to track down his quarry, and driven by the knowledge that failure means certain death. So begins the Berkut, the Cossack story of pursuit of hunters and the hunted that pits two elite teams against each other, both of them brave, resourceful, of great physical prowess, and yet so fully motivated that only the winners will survive. Here's your dust jacket. So it's a pretty good read. It's a pretty good read. And probably full of a bunch of scenarios that I could use for, just saying, Scorsese. What was Scorsese's dog name? Was it Odago? Speaking of Irish, just put a little plot of Ireland right here in front of this guy. McGreen. Yeah, it seems still out there. I can see right up to the trees. It's pretty still, and it's pretty early too. All right. Get right to the wire here. We got Jones, or as they call him in Spanish, Jones. And Jones needs something back here underneath his legs. I got a spot here that doesn't look very well done. Yeah, it's lazy to create German characters and creating any more Dietrichs or Steiners. Like, enough of that. Like, you need to come up with something else. Like, there are other names. There are other names. I wish some of these Leadbear ones were just a wee smaller. A wee bit smaller. Let's see what the smallest one they have here. Maybe this one. Maybe that one. But they stick like crazy. Okay. Mortarman Morris. Old 60mm war. I forget if that they definitely have smoke. I don't know if they got white phosphorus. White phosphorus is like maybe 81 above. That's some nasty stuff, man. That's some nasty stuff. Okay, Abernathy the loader and the gunner Downs. And this guy's loading thing broke down. Oh, he's got. All right, we got to repair him. We're gonna punt on him. Let's put this away. We got Tufts all up my business over here. You go away. We'll put you guys away later. Bugger off now. Those guys have been trash. We'll have to fix them. So we're gonna paint the edges of the base with black. I like using the craft paint because it's flat as hell. And thick as hell too. Let's make sure we don't have any static grass floating around here. Let's see what we got in the cauldron. If you want to use any of these. Oh, there we go. You can use this one. Where's that? I keep reusing that one paper towel, and now it disappeared. Oh, and all my paper towels are gone. Somebody must have come in here and raided me. Be right back. Okay. We're going to do the same thing that we did last time, except now I don't have my water. Yeah, dude, it's down here. Haha! I've got the wrong side of this, but I think I should be able to do this. We're just going to just need a tad. Let's hope I don't fuck this up. Just a little bit of water there. We need to re-wet the brush. Because this stuff is actually pretty thick. It's almost like the tube acrylic paint. Almost like that. Okay, let's start at the beginning here. I'm going to start with Ludlow. No, it's sticking too much, so let's thin it down a little bit more so it can go around nicely around the edge. See, last update was at 5, so we get a new one at 8. Every 3 hours they give us an update. Only once of all the times that I've lived in this area did we actually leave because of the storm. I don't remember when it was, but we did leave one time. But you got to be careful. I had a buddy of mine that lived in Naples, and this storm, I don't remember which one it was. This was 10 years ago, something like that. They evacuated him because the storm was basically going to come on land there in Fort Myers, Naples area. Not Naples. I'm sorry. He lived in Venice. Different Italian city in Florida. Okay. He lived in Venice, and they evacuated him. He didn't live on the beach. He lived within a half mile of the beach or less, in an older house that his mother-in-law lived there in, or something like that. I knew him because he used to live here in town, and he was another one of those folks that left town, and I lost a gaming partner. But anyhow, so he was telling me that there was this storm that came in, and they evacuated him, to Orlando, which is in the center of the state. Normally, a place that wouldn't even be an issue for storms. It was like a mandatory evacuation. I don't know if they evacuated him to Orlando. Well, they wouldn't have evacuated him to Orlando. He says, "You got to get the fuck out of here." And he decided, let's go to Orlando. So he goes to Orlando to stay at La Quinta Inn, which is a chain. And what they're known for is that they have this pseudo-Spanish Taco Bell style Mexican-looking roof, this blue tile roof. So they evacuated him there. The storm actually went for Orlando, and a lot of the roofs on the so he's in this hotel now on the eye of the storm, and all of the tiles, the blue tiles on this hotel, came down crashing on his car and trashed his car. It's like, the irony of it is, but yeah. So we've only, I think one time we left. It was one year that I wasn't married yet or whatever. My parents like, we're getting the hell out of here. We're going to, I don't know where they went. They went to Alabama or something like that. And I couldn't because my place I work doesn't make any decisions on when they're going to close until it's too late to go anywhere. You know, it's like if you decide to go somewhere, it's like, oh, well, we're not going to work tomorrow. I'm like, well, it's too late to fucking leave because now I'm in a, in a mess. Like if you're going to leave somewhere, you got to leave and a storm is coming. You got to leave at like a really weird time. You got to leave at like 2 in the morning or something like that. You know, like what you can't leave at like, well, I'm going to leave and I'm going to get breakfast and we'll leave with everybody else. Well, you'll be in the traffic jam of traffic jams. It'll be like it'll be like a traffic jam of all the Iraqi troops who were trying to leave Kuwait after they had looted everything. You know, the A-10's coming straight for you. You know, you got to leave at a weird time, and you can't take I-75. You got to take little dinky roads at 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, come on. Haven't you ever tried to escape from the zombie apocalypse? That's what you do. You got to do things that are unusual to get away from people. You know, but at that point, it was like, okay, well, I'm not. Did they call work? It's too late to leave. Just got to hunker down. But we live in a place where just, if you can keep the trees away from you. There's really not much of an issue because the most you're going to get is maybe 80-mile-an-hour gusts. You're not going to get more than that. I mean, unless it's like a category 20 or something. I mean, it's just we're far enough that it's going to lose momentum. National Hurricane Center seems to indicate you have about 2 hours before the tropical storm winds hit you. Well, that's assuming you know where I live. Yeah, we're okay. I mean, we got everything tied down in the back. The way it spins, you kind of like, okay, you put it up against the house. It's not going to go that way. We don't have that much furniture outside. We got a patio with some outside, indoor, outdoor furniture, and I would rather the storm hit at nighttime, personally, and generally it does. Anytime that I've been, it seems like the nighttime is when things happen. So, and the longest we've ever lost power for was like 3 days. I don't think we've ever lost power more than 3 days. So, and I'd much rather be here than in the other neighborhood because the other neighborhood has a lot more. Here we just have pine trees, which, they could fall. I mean, you could have a tree that falls out of the house, but we got one limb that's kind of, before we even got here, it was already like half cracked. It was like literally cracked and looked like it almost got hit by lightning. And it may go down. I don't think it would hit the house where it is, but yeah, it's not even gusty out there yet. We'll see. I'm planning on going into the office, when it's safe to do so. It doesn't really matter whether I get there at my normal time or 9 a.m. It's like, by that time everything will have passed. The nice thing about hurricanes is the nice thing about hurricanes is that generally there's no, I mean, almost in every instance, there's no lightning that goes along with it. And I am scared to death of lightning. So it's usually just, wind and, just make sure you're not standing out somewhere and you get hit by a flying fill in the blank, you'll get impaled. But of all the natural disasters, it's, at least you get, when it's coming. You can decide, I don't want to deal with this and just leave. If you can, at least that's an option. It's not like an earthquake, like, oh, sorry, you fell in a hole. You didn't have any warning. Or you're in a well-built house and it just happens to cave in on you, and now you have a well-built, now you're buried alive in a well-built area. That's, yeah, I'd rather not have that. I guess you guys haven't complained about the feed, so the feed's doing okay. I'm just doing on the mobile feed. It's going to be less glitchy than on the internet, even though my internet is technically a mobile line, because we don't have a wired internet. You can have one, but it's not as fast as the T-Mobile. So yeah, painting the edge of these guys doesn't allow them to blend so much into the terrain, but there are plain pieces. And I haven't painted vehicles black around the edge yet. I don't know if I'm going to. I just didn't realize. I didn't realize there was so many people had such strong opinions about vehicles, whether they were based on. I mean, I got strong opinions about figure scales, and I'm go like, you're an idiot for doing that in that scale. Like, you got your reasons why you do 28 millimeter stuff. Well, I got my reasons why I paint my vehicles on stands. And I'm about 50-50 on it, about the vehicles. Hell, I think I got my buildings are technically on stands. Ha! Oh, there's a piece of faff. Sorry, scrim that I took with me. But I have a feeling tomorrow is going to be a shit show. I fully expect it. We're going to have a hard time getting our baking materials. And that's going to affect things because, who the hell is going to be delivering that stuff? There's nothing you can do about it. It's an act of God. But the rain hasn't been too bad at all. I mean, it really hasn't rained that much at all yet. And I don't think we're going to get that much rain to begin with. There was one year when we lived at the other house. There's one of the neighborhoods that I went to on the way to work. This neighborhood had the main road, and this is all paved. It's a suburban neighborhood, and the main road that connected that neighborhood to it had a little dip. So if you're on the main road, you want to turn in this neighborhood, you would there'd be like this little island that would, you stay to the right, because we drive on the correct side of the street here, right? So you stay to the right if you're going to go into the neighborhood, and stay to the left to go out of the neighborhood. There's this little island that's there, and then there was like a dip, and not a huge dip, but a dip. And one year, it was one of the storms. I think it was because of a hurricane. It may not have been, but it was the rain of a hurricane. It rained so much that that dip filled with water, and several vehicles tried to get. And there was the only way out of that neighborhood. It wasn't my neighborhood; it was another neighborhood that you can't help but look at it on the way to work. And they had a drainage issue there, obviously, and there was several vehicles that got stuck trying to cross it. Well, when you look at it, is like you got like this Honda Pilot, which is a Honda Pilot is an SUV that has that's pretty high up off the ground, and the water was up to where the windows started on the side door. So it must have had 3.5 feet of water or something like that. So well, that vehicle's trashed right there, just stuck, and nobody could get it out of the neighborhood. And you got this Honda Pilot that's stuck there, that's hosed. And I think they finally fixed the issue with that. It was a drainage problem in that neighborhood. And then there was another one. There's another neighborhood near us, and we're 115 feet over sea level in that town. So it's not like it's a town that's under sea level. It just happens to have these drainage issues in a few places. So they this other neighborhood that was near us, it would flood, and you would have the entranceway would be backed up for 100 feet. Hold on one second. All right, so we're gonna have a dinner call here shortly. So I'm probably going to stay connected and just come back because they're tied up using the television and stuff. I don't want to watch the Olympics. Yeah, unless they're gonna watch like long jump or something like that. I don't want to see the Olympics. They're actually watching Olympics that have already happened. My mom's here and she hadn't seen some of them. But anyhow, so this neighborhood was, it would flood, and the entrance to get to the main road, it'd flood back like 100 feet, 150 feet. Easy. It's like the first two or three houses were like flooded out. Just really poor planning, and just, really a lot of rain, so. Um, but we don't live in a low area. We live in one of the higher places in Florida because we're in the middle of Florida. Not that that means anything. We're only, 40 meters over sea level. But if the sea level is an issue, there's where we live, there's places that are really hosed. Yeah, it's still freaking early. Actually, I'll probably disconnect. There's no point leaving you guys hanging. I don't know how long I'm going to be. But I'll come back on if I come back on. Which, at this point, only thing will be left to do would be to matte varnish these figures. Not that there's any magic to it or anything. And that stuff paints on milky white. It's kind of weird, but I don't want to use what I normally would use for varnish would be this, and I'm really happy with this product. And I've used it for a long time. Is it not here? Here it is. Testra's Dull Coat Top Coat, which is it's a lacquer. But since these figures have been sealed by spray, I don't want this to create turbulence with that. And the next thing I know, I have an opaque finish. So I don't want to. I don't want to finish that. What I used to do is spray these guys twice with semi-gloss. So I don't want to do that. It's bad enough that I had to repaint these stands, but I wanted them to look in a modern way. And the other batch of figures that I have over there is we got Russians and Germans, so a few Russians, very few Russians. Okay, Higgs is complete. Higgs complete. And even back then, when I was painting these figures, I'd paint them individually. I wouldn't like, let's paint a bunch of guys with, at one time. I paint one guy and then move on and paint another guy. That's what works for me. You know, have a short-term goal. See something finished as soon as you possibly can. Not have to wait, weeks before something's complete. That probably doesn't work for most people, but I remember that one time I was painting Roman sandals. I was trying to paint 18 or 36 Romans or something like that all at once. I'm like, holy, that was just like carpal tunnel hell. That was not enjoyable. Okay, Moran, Young, Crawford. Are we gonna get the basing done on these two guys before I get pulled away? Let's see. Gonna be close. It's completely still out there. Went to the grocery store yesterday and people weren't like acting like it was the end of the world. I was pretty surprised. Okay, I'll be right there. Come on, two more guys to paint. And then we'll sign off for a little bit. And last figure. No, Marcus, you showed up at the wrong time. Damn you. I gotta go to dinner. Damn you, Marcus. I'll be back. I'm not gonna let the feed run. I'll start a new one. But I'm probably gonna be gone for about half an hour, I would imagine, or so. So stay tuned. Where you been anyways, man? Missed you. And last edge. I'm coming. It's the last part. Okay. All right, folks. That's it. We're going to wrap this up and we'll be back. If we're back, we're back. And if we're not back, we're not back. But I still need to dull coat these guys. So I'd like to do that this evening. So that way these guys are complete. But as always, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you guys soon on the next one. Bye-bye.